Hey there, everybody. Jimmy with To the Top Crane here. Looks like we had two people waiting, and one person already gave one of these. So it's been a while. I haven't been live. What's it been? Let me look. It's been a little while. Um, Wrong app, Jimmy. Come on. Let's see when my last live stream was done. Okay, having trouble finding it. Go to me, my videos. 4 months ago. Been 4 months. So anyway, we got 11 people watching now. 5 thumbs up. I haven't done anything different down here in the YouTube studio except for Steve Chapman. Hi there, Mike P. Hey Jimmy, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Haven't done anything new down here except for maybe came down here and sat down and edited a few videos and whatnot. David Fisher, hello. How are you doing? Um, Actually, I wanted to come on here and throw something out quick, fast, in a hurry. What is over here that is showing up on my screen? Let's see. What is this? That says remove before use. I don't know what that is. That must have been the cover for a remote of some kind. I don't. I don't remember. All I know is that little thing says remove before use. We removed it. Well, Matson, how are you doing? It says nice to have you back. So anyway, before we dive too deep into this, I want to share something with everyone, and I'll probably share it again uh, later in the video. Mary, that's because you never read directions. Everybody be nice to Mary. That's my mom. So if anybody wants to give a shout out to my mom and say hi, Mary, that is on here in comments, is my mother. And then Debbie says, "Aha, Mary." So Debbie is a good friend of ours. Used to live across the street from us. So uh, Steve Chapman, we got a quick 18 inches of snow today here in Cleveland. You can keep the snow. I am so over winter. I'm done with it. Mike P. Hi, Jimmy's mom. But this is what I wanted to share with everyone. And I'm not going to be able to keep up with comments for a second. Von Heels, hello. It has really been a while. So, anyway, a friend of mine on Facebook shared this post earlier, and it caught my attention, and it really kind of dug into Billy Laptop. Oh, thank you for that, sir. You really didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. And man, you always go above and beyond on the old live streams. My gosh, um, Billy Laptop sidetracked me there for a second. Anyway, back to this post, and oh, happy New Year to you as well, Billy. So, people people have often compared this channel to like Ron Pratt or Plaza Towing, and the comparisons between cranes and rotators and cranes, and picking stuff up and setting stuff down and recovering things and doing whatnot. And um, this will all make sense in a second, I promise. We're similar but different from guys that run rotators, and same, the inverse is true the other direction. But this post on Facebook caught my attention. Um, so a friend of mine, I'm just going to get right into it. This guy shared a post of a towing company in Iowa City, Iowa. This guy had stellar across the board 5-star reviews, nothing but good things to say about him until today. And someone left a 1-star review on this guy's page and says, "Won't answer the phone multiple days in a row, try elsewhere." And the tow company's response was, "Hey, sorry about that. Maybe just try and call somewhere else. Also, my wife's funeral was Monday, but hey, thanks for ruining my 5-star review because I didn't answer your call." Now, I'm going to go in, I'm going to also read you the current review that's on there, the current response, because it's been updated. The same person 8 hours ago commented, "Won't answer the phone multiple days in a row. Try elsewhere." And then the tow company's response, "Hey, sorry about that. Maybe just try and call somewhere else. Also, maybe something you know nothing about has taken priority, like my spouse of 10 years and mother to my 3-year-old's funeral was Monday, and he needs me more than you. But thank you for ruining my 5-star review because I didn't answer. Maybe consider it's not personal and you don't need to save people from answering my phone or answering my answering machine. Also, why?" And that kind of tugged at me a little bit. And those of you that have been following the channel for quite a while know that occasionally, and maybe it's just the way I'm wired, but occasionally I tend to put people on blast on here. A few years ago, I may have done that with a certain tire manufacturer, shop, whatever. But I felt like the reason why this kind of tugged at me is this guy had nothing but great things said about him the entire the entire time he's been on Google. And all it takes is one person to drag their reviews down, and this guy's battling something that no one knows anything about. And the same can be said in life for each and every one of us. Every one of us goes through battles that no one else knows anything about. And sometimes we maybe take it upon ourselves to blow things out of proportion or get hateful or whatever, and not knowing what another person's struggling with. So I thought maybe we could use this platform to maybe, if nothing else, I wouldn't ask anybody to go on and give a fake Google review. There's no reason for someone to jump on someone's Google and give a fake review. If the guy's done nothing for you, then so be it. But what we could do is go to this guy's Google and give him a little bit of sympathy and some grace, and just stand back and reflect and think what this guy's going through. His wife of 10 years was just, her funeral was just Monday, and he's got a 3-year-old son. And then I went to his website and looked, and apparently he's got an older son that's maybe jumping into the towing community. Um, but I felt like this guy needed some people to reach out and just say, "Hey, we got your back. We don't know your struggles or your trials and tribulations, but know that we're here for you. We got your back." So anyway, if you go to Google and you look up Joe's Quick Tow in Iowa City, Iowa, and don't spam this guy. Please don't spam this guy. Don't blow his phone up. He has no idea I'm even doing this. But maybe go on to his Google and leave a review with just the comment, "Hey, we're thinking about you. We're sorry for your loss," whatever. But just let this guy know that he's supported, because in today's world, everybody needs some support. I've also thrown this out to Trent with Plaza Towing. I talked to him on the phone a little bit ago, and Trent's probably going to throw something out there on his channel, um, and maybe even throw something around on some of the towing channels. But I know if I was Joe at Joe's Quick Tow and someone had just blown my day up after just burying my wife 5 days ago, having a little bit of support would go a long way. And that's kind of what was weighing on me with maybe jump onto a live stream. And it's been a while since I've been on here. Maybe jump on here and talk to some people, and maybe we can get Joe to see that he's not in this by himself, and that there's people out there thinking about him, because I would want that for me if I was struggling. So, yeah, there's that. I got all up in everybody's feels, probably. Um, yeah, that's what was weighing on me. And again, we'll probably touch on it again here in a little while. And since I haven't been on here for a while, we'll probably do a live stream for who knows how long. We'll go until I run out of voice, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Trainboy427 says, "Hi Jimmy, how are you doing?" Now we'll Ben Strawn. Hey Jimmy, got a crisp 16 degrees here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Snow galore. Yeah, it's wintertime. I hate the winter times. So now we can address another elephant in the room that if anybody saw this floating around. This is real. This was not put on by me. This was indeed put on by a surgeon because I had surgery on my hand on Tuesday. Because I'm an idiot. There's no other way to put it other than the fact that I'm an idiot. Well, he says, great idea. My mom says, hi, everyone. Thanks for supporting Jimmy. And yeah, your guys' support is unwavering. It blows my mind and it's completely humbling. So, Von Hills. So a lot of the best stories start with, so I'm an idiot. Mike P. review posted for Joe. Best wishes to him. Thanks for that. So we can jump straight into why this is on my hand if everybody wants to. I'll give you the long of the short of it. I got upset and I punched a wall because I'm a 46-year-old kid. So there's that. Yeah, I got upset. I punched a wall. I dislocated all the bones in the back of my hand. In doing so, I happened to tear some tendons in my hand. And in order for them to fix them, they had to relocate the bones in ER, which that was excruciating. And then Tuesday morning, I went in for surgery and they put 3 pins in my hand to hold the bones in place until the tendons heal. Fortunately, the surgeon that worked on my hand understands my career. Walter Madsen, choose a softer wall next time. Yeah, there's that. But he understands my career, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, I just need to be able to put this around a joystick. So he did splint it in a way that I do have movement of my fingers and my thumb, so I can hold onto the joystick, and he did clear me to operate the crane. So I just can't use it to climb, but I can use it to operate the crane. Now, any of you that don't have a weak stomach, I'll show you a picture of what it looked like right after. Let's go to camera. If you can see that, that was my hand right afterwards. Again, because I'm a 46-year-old man child. And sometimes hitting things seems to be the only real option. I don't know. Mike P. I learned a long time ago, stupid hurts. Von Heel, so the surgeon's letting you crawl back into the cab. So it's safe to say the wall won. The surgeon is letting me go back to. I went back to work yesterday. Actually, had surgery Tuesday. I was off Wednesday. Went back to surgery. Went back to work Thursday. I was at work today. But yeah, let me go back to work. And yes, the wall did win. However, I did learn that if I was going to hang something on that wall that was heavy, I know exactly where to put the screw in the wall because I can put that screw right into a stud. I know right where the stud's at because I used my stud finder and found it. So there's that. Debbie, it looks super painful. The painful part was when they put it back in place. Jason Helsley, how are you doing, Jason? FYI, he didn't inherit that from me. Von Heels is going to make a joke about finding a stud with your hand, but decided against it. Hey, feel free. I am here for your all's entertainment. If you can crack a joke on my behalf, gloves are off. Feel free to do it. Been strong. I've heard of doing things by hand, but this is a whole new technique. It and definitely was. It is self-critiquing for sure. My hat's a little crooked. Maybe I need to fix that. Anyway, who cares? Yeah. So anyway, I'll have 3 pins. I currently have 3 pins in my hand. One is in the metacarpal that lines up with my ring finger that goes into the top of my hand and straight down through the bone and into my wrist. And then another one from this side through this metacarpal and through this metacarpal and into my wrist this way. And then another one, I believe, based on what I can feel, another one comes through the metacarpal in my that lines up with my ring finger or my middle finger at an angle through my ring finger metacarpal and into my wrist. So yeah, there's that. Well, I mentioned, were you a boxer at one time? I was not a boxer. So there's that. Motorhead 1, oh no. Jason Heltzley doing good other than fighting a miserable head cold. That's no good, Jason. Hopefully you get over that soon. Von Heels just got an expensive lifetime ticket to secondary screening at every airport check. So Von Heels, here's the kicker with that. These pins are not staying in. So they are currently, allegedly, because I can't see them, currently protruding through my skin. I better not look. But anyway, after 4 weeks, they're going to pull these things out unless I get ambitious and do it prematurely, which I've been cautioned against and told that I shouldn't and whatnot. But who am I to, I typically throw caution to the wind and go with my gut. But in an effort to be a good patient and knowing what I went through to get the pins put in there, I should probably leave them in there. Debbie, be a good patient per Dr. B. Yeah, I should probably leave them alone. But then the other side of me is like, they're only 2 millimeters in diameter. That's very small. They would come out very easily. Yeah, I don't. Von Heels patient removed pins AMA. Honestly, in my mind, I picture they're going to just grab a hold of them with some fancy medical grade vice grips and pull them out. I mean, can't I do that at home and save $10? I mean, I don't know. Well, regardless, they're supposed to be in there for 4 weeks. Supposed to be in there for 4 weeks. Then they'll pull the pins out, and then I'll be in a splint for another 2 to 4 weeks. In the interim, I can still do this. I can run the big crane. I just have to deal with that. So there's that. Keyword medical. I can still edit video too, and I do have some footage coming up. I was scrolling through some footage trying to decide what to throw out there next. I think the next video is going to be, believe it or not, a tank video, as if there's not enough tank videos on the channel. But we did set some tanks late fall that were vertical tanks, came in horizontally on trucks. We had to use the auxiliary line in the main winch line and stand them up vertical and do some stuff with that. So that'll probably be the next video. Also, on the way back, I got routed over a bridge that was going through construction that they had a lane width restriction of 11 feet. I don't know, 11 and a half feet, I think. And I'm 10 and a half feet wide. So we got to drive through a narrow lane. I'll probably throw some of that in there too. But Von Heel's not going to be assisting much in swinging the jib or adding parts of the line for a while. That is true. I'm definitely restricted on that. I can't pull on anything. So yeah, a rope is out. Climbing up into the crane, I have to do it one handed, which isn't that big a deal. I can make it all in one trip without changing hands or any of that. But yeah, no pulling on things. Walter Metzner, you're right-handed. I would think you must be. Things could be difficult. I am right-handed, and this is my right hand. Fortunately, given my mechanical career and working on things, I've become pretty well ambidextrous. I can pretty much do anything with my left hand that I can with my right, with exception of writing. I can't write. Well, my penmanship sucks with my right hand. It really sucks with my left hand. But everything else I can pretty much do right or left handed. So that helps. I do know that I have to have this lined out by middle of March because I'm going to Texas to my brother's and going crappie fishing. So this has to work for catching crappie by the middle of March. If not, we're going to figure out how to do it with this and an assistant. If I have to hire somebody to go crappie fishing in Texas with me, then so be it. But I'm going crappie fishing in Texas in March. So I'm going to have a quick look and see where we're at with Joe's Quick Toe. Looks like he's got 70 reviews. I'm just, not to backtrack, and just, I don't know, that's been weighing on me all day long. Like, how can I help this guy out without getting in his business and without, without causing a ruckus? And that's what I came up with. So yeah, Von Heel. Speaking of cranes, Cutting Edge Engineering has been doing a rebuild of their crane lately and have the boom blown apart. Kind of needs how that particular boom operates. So realistically, the internal workings of the modern cranes is nothing short of amazing. How they pin and telescope, and I don't know who stayed awake late at night thinking of that, but that was quite the engineering feat that they came up with. However, I am glad that I haven't had to tear ours apart. Taking a crane boom apart is it's quite the task. Von has a number of pulleys and cables to allow the boom to extend with a single cylinder. It's really impressive. So they must be taking apart a boom truck, or if it's a bigger crane, it's obviously a live boom. So the crane that I operate, it's a pinning boom. There's no cables and pulleys inside of it. It's just a single cylinder that grabs a section, shoves it out where it needs to be, pins it in place, and then retracts and grabs another section and shoves it out where it needs to be. But no pulleys and cables inside of it. It's just a cylinder and pins. But yeah. Oh, Von Hill's Frana yard crane. Yeah, those Franas are pretty neat machines. They're really popular in Australia and New Zealand. They haven't really gained much popularity in the States yet, but I would imagine their time is coming. Trying to see if there's anything fun that I've taken any pictures of that you guys would want to see. Um, we've kind of been up and down as far as the world of cranes goes. It's Von Heels. Yeah, I know yours is a pinning boom. This is different. Yep, for sure, it's different. Um, it's been kind of, like I said, up and down. I hate to use the the words that the crane world's got its ups and downs, but it has been up and down. I don't know that I've got any pictures of anything that's overly interesting that we've set that I didn't record. And some of the stuff is getting more and more difficult to record. And the reason why I say that is so many people are afraid of litigation that it's kind of hard to. I can't say it's necessarily hard, but sometimes finding contractors or customers that are willing to let me record their jobs is relatively difficult because they're afraid of, what if someone sees something that's just not perfectly right, then who's going to come beating on my door? So that does make it a little challenging at times. Let's see. Well, that's why I said it's neat how that one operates. For your sake, I hope you never end up deep in the theory of operation of yours. I mean, I could probably dive kind of deep into the theory of operation on a pinning boom. Um, Lee Bear has a video on YouTube it's an animated video, but it's a neat video that shows how their pinning system works. And realistically, it's not any different than the other companies' pinning systems. The only difference is Lee Bear uses a single pin in the top of the boom, where Tadano and Grove use dual pins and they shoot out the sides of the boom. So, but as far as the theory and how they go about achieving that, it's the same. Von Hill's the important person. Make sure the job gets done safely. Make sure everyone goes home at the end of the day. For sure, that is always my priority. Always. And even when I'm teaching new people or talking to people, and some people think, man, you really take this over the top. And when it comes to the safety side of it, you're, you know, maybe a little above and beyond. But I don't feel it's above and beyond. Anytime you're risking someone's life, it's pretty freaking serious. So being a stickler on safety is not a bad thing. I'm also figuring out that I wish they would have put a little bit of a concave in the middle of this because it would fit on top of my mouse better. So I kind of just have to rest my hand on top and run the scroll wheel. But we'll make it through it. Adapt and overcome, right? So on the plus side, with winter, as far as it's concerned, I think we're supposed to get above freezing on Sunday, maybe Monday. And that can't come soon enough because I'm so sick of winter. I can't stand it. It cuts into my fishing. It makes me cold. I don't like snow. My driveway sucks when it's wintertime. I'm way done with winter. The only positive thing I can think about it is it kills the bugs. No mosquitoes, no ticks. That's really the only good part about it. Um, when I was digging through footage to decide what to use next, I happened across some footage of some car stereo install stuff that I did. Do you guys want to see it? I mean, reverting back to our conversation earlier when it had to do with this, I am a 46-year-old man child. So if you guys want to see some car audio stuff that I dove into, I actually recorded some footage of that. Um, I can throw that together and put it on here. And YouTube just said ads inserted. Hopefully, you guys aren't getting blasted with an ad right now. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I don't know. I know why YouTube does what they do when it comes to ads, but it just seems like oh, Mike P, no ad yet. So maybe that's if you were to rewatch this thing, you'd probably get hammered with an ad. And it never fails. As soon as they throw an ad in there, gone. Yeah, and I mean, I know why they do it, because YouTube's ran by a bunch of greedy people that want to generate as much ad revenue as they possibly can. But I mean, if they cared about the creators and the subscribers, they would maybe run an ad at the beginning and run an ad at the end and leave the middle open. Let's see. Yvonne Hills, I did have to make a call about 3 months ago when a tree company showed up with a crane and a D6 to remove a tree from my neighbor's backyard. I happened to ask what the dozer was for, since there was no way they were getting into the yard. Turns out it was to chain the front of the crane and increase their lifting capacity. Oh my gosh, I've seen pictures of that. That is not the way to attack that. Billy Laptop, I have premium, no ads. Ben says, did being a crane operator entail doing the maintenance on everything too? I'm about to go for my CDL to start my apprenticeship and was curious about that aspect. So, Ben, to answer your question, I do 99% of the maintenance on all of the cranes that we own. We have some other guys that work there that assist with all of that stuff, but typically I am the first line of defense. If something's going wrong with a crane, I dig into it first. If it's something I don't have time to deal with or can't figure out for some reason, then we will call in someone else to mess with it. Generally, what it boils down to is I can't necessarily spend 4 or 5 days in the shop working through a problem on something. I need to be out in one of the other cranes doing something else, so we'll have someone come in and deal with it. But day-to-day maintenance stuff, preventive maintenance stuff, it depends on the company you're with. But yes, sometimes the operator will be involved in that, and other times not necessarily. Von Heels, well, for a few weeks, you're going to be the pointer for maintenance. I can point with this still, so there's that. Fish Find 3000, how are you doing? I'm doing well, as well as can be with pins in my hand. We do have some maintenance coming up on the 200-ton crane. We are going to rotate some tires, which we were going to do that yesterday and today, but we've got a guy at our shop that he is like a tire guru. He's been out for a couple days, so when he comes back, we're going to break down 8 of the 10 tires and rotate them to different parts of the crane, because to equalize wear and whatnot. I'll probably record some of that. It's pretty interesting seeing the crane up on jacks with 8 of its 10 tires off the wheels. And when we rotate tires, we leave the wheels bolted to the hub. And then we break down the beads and we pull the tire off and switch them to a different wheel, and then put the lock ring on and reinflate them. No need to go to the gym after breaking down a couple commercial tires. Yeah, and those tires on the bigger cranes are no joke. We have to move them around with a forklift, because I think the 525 ADR 25s that are on the 200-ton, the Tadano ATF 180, if memory serves me right, I think they're right around 500 pounds a piece. So we move them around with a forklift. Fish Find asked what happened. So Fish Find, long of the short of it, I got mad and punched a wall and tore some stuff. Got pins in my hand now. So there's that. Ben says, thanks, I'm all for learning, and you've been a big help with that. So thank you for this channel. You do great work. And I, I'm trying to be somewhat consistent and getting something out there every 3 weeks to a month or so. It is difficult to stay on track with that, but I try. Von, a short version is Jimmy is better at finding studs with his hand than most electronic stud finders. Stud finders at the big box store. True story. I definitely found it. Mary, can you help pinpoint Joe's quick toe? There are several coming up in Iowa. It's Iowa City, Iowa. I'm not. I mean, if any of the moderators on here want to Google Joe's quick toe in Iowa City, Iowa, and maybe throw a link in the comments, would be fantastic. Um, I'm not 100% certain on how to do it without messing up this whole live stream. So if someone wouldn't mind doing that, that would be awesome. And I actually tried calling Joe's quick toe earlier, and I didn't get an answer. I would only assume that he's dealing with other things right now. Um, so yeah, I wasn't going to push the issue. Oh, fish find you can make those videos on hooks, cables, and all the other small odds and ends when lifting. Go behind the science of picking up stuff. Fish find says, I think I found your channel all those years ago from researching clevises. Mike P, that's a good one. It says you can sort by lowest review and you'll see it. Matt DJ, how are you doing? Any cool and neat crane maintenance stuff going on? I think sometime next week we're going to rotate some tires, so I'll record some footage of that. We just serviced cranes and changed oil and fuel filters and all that good stuff, and I didn't record any of that. I mean, oil drain out of an oil pan's no different out of a crane than it is out of a truck. It just drains out. Putting filters on, pretty much about the same. So I didn't figure that would be anything anybody would want to watch, other than it's significantly more oil. But you know, oil comes out the bottom, filter gets changed, plug gets put back in, new oil goes in the top. Let's see if that negative review is still on there. Lowest. Yep, it's still on there. Yeah, it was 10 hours ago. So yeah, there's that. Oh, Von Heels has got it. Joe's Quick Toe right there. joesquicktoe.com. Thanks for that, Von Heels. As his website, not sure how to link to the reviews. Yeah, I don't know either. I'm extending my technological wizardry or knowledge just with this YouTube thing and editing videos. I hate to get too far out over the end of my skis. Mike P, if this link works, his review should be on the right. And like I said earlier, I'm not asking anybody to go give false reviews for this guy's business. I don't want fake stuff out there. I don't want false reviews out there. But it would be pretty neat if a bunch of people could go out there and just give him some support in time of need. Von Heelsey has gotten a ton of reviews in the last 8 hours. Yeah, it like I said, it would just be, if I was in his position, it would feel pretty good to know that people actually care enough to come out there and say something positive about the guy. Fish find, what's the beef with Joe's towing? So, Fish find, there's no beef with me. We'll do a quick recap since we're 40 minutes into this. A friend of mine shared a post on Facebook earlier of a towing company that had stellar 5-star reviews across the board his entire business career. And then all of a sudden, one guy can't get a hold of him to answer his phone and gave him a 1-star review and kind of blew him up a little bit on there. Come to find out that Joe's wife passed away and her funeral was on Monday, and they've got a 3-year-old son, and he's got a life outside of trying to recover entitled people's vehicles. And so his 5-star reviews got blown away because some guy wanted to be entitled and felt like everybody needed to answer their phone as soon as they called him. That's my interpretation of it. And really, you guys might find this entertaining. Let's see. We're going to go to this guy's review. So the person that left the 1-star review 10 hours ago, he also left another review for another towing company. I'll read his review. So he left this one for Big Ten University Towing in Southwest Iowa City, Iowa. Said they would show up in 20 minutes, waited an hour, and called to find out that they wrote down my phone number wrong and didn't actually come all the way down my road and called the wrong person and left. So now there's 20 people in front of me. Terrible service. 0 out of 10. Here's what I think would have happened. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I can always take constructive criticism. I don't care. I'm guessing this fellow that left these reviews probably has either a diesel pickup or a semi, didn't look at the weather report, probably didn't realize that maybe he needed to put some fuel additive in his truck, gelled himself up, left himself stranded, and then expected someone to come fix his mistake. And since he couldn't get a hold of somebody in the time that he felt was due to him, got upset and decided to go straight to Google reviews with it. I'm speculating. That tends to be what happens in today's world. Someone screws something up for themselves and they want to point the finger at someone else and make it their fault. I don't know. Like I said, completely speculating. Russell, did you ever decide to make more videos on different subjects like changing lawnmower blades and stuff? It seemed like you wanted to do it a few months ago. Near there was a tow ban because of the weather on Monday. I live close and was in that area on Monday. Fish fine. That's an awful petty thing for someone to do. Russell, to answer your question, I do have some footage of some car audio stuff that I dabbled in and played with. I will put different stuff on the channel. Everybody's cool with it. We'll just roll with it. I'll throw whatever on there. Matt DJ, any new toy cranes in the collection? Last we saw the collection was like a year ago. No new toy cranes. It's all still the same 3. So we've got this one. That's an ATF 220. And let me move some stuff. We've got this one, which is an ATF 160. It's kind of hard to move these things around with pins in my hand, but and then we've got this one, which is a GR 1000. Let's see, Von Heels. Well, you see reviews work both ways, at least locally. If you're a bad customer with one company, you may find that the other company is suddenly without availability for you either. That's true. Matt DJ, Thor's hammer ever do any smashing? Oh, I knew it was going to come up. Thor's hammer still welded to an engine stand in the garage and hasn't had anything done to it for quite a while. So it has not done any smashing. It hasn't done much of anything except for collect some dust and maybe a little bit of rust. And now, given this, I would hate to speculate on when it's going to get to do some smashing. I could probably, I could probably rename it and just start smashing stuff with it now. It's like 900 pounds or 800 pounds. It would tear some stuff up from 70 feet in the air, but it just wouldn't be the same. Von Heels, without getting into specifics, have you ever been forced to fire a customer before? Absolutely. Von Heels, we had a certain customer 3 times, and I don't know why we had him 3 times. I don't get to make that decision. All I do is operate the crane. People above me make decisions on who we go operate the crane for. However, if you guys remember, let's go back about 2.5, maybe 3 years. I pulled a modular house off of a basement. So the house was currently sitting there. And in the video, we had to stop for weather because we had some thunderstorms in the area and whatnot. And then I ended up pulling the house off of a basement and set it on some carriers so they could build a new house on the same foundation. So that customer that was contracted to haul the house halves off also contracted us to set a house last winter. Actually set 2 houses last winter. So we set one of them, and this guy, I have no bones or anything about throwing. I'm not going to throw his name out there, but I will talk about it in great detail. And if anybody's familiar with the situation and can put a face with a name, I don't care, because if that guy comes at me, I'm going to do this to this hand. Yeah. Anyway, we go to set a house for the guy. We get up there, find out there's an old well or something in the front yard. I end up having to move the crane around. He gets upset because it's taking a little bit longer than it should, even though I explained to him that, hey, I'm not going to wreck $1 million crane so you can set an $80,000 used modular house on a basement. It's just not going to happen. That's not open for discussion, negotiation, anything else. It's going to be exactly the way I want it, or it's not going to happen. We'll take the crane home. So he gets a little upset about that. Anyway, we get his house set, and then we have to fight to get paid. And then, lo and behold, he's got another house to set. Same guy, deals in used modulars. We go to set a house, and I wish I would have had all of this stuff on video, but unfortunately, I didn't have my camera with me to record it. We take our 100-ton crane up there first, get out there, and realize that he staged the house in the wrong place, and we couldn't actually set it with the 100-ton because the radius was going to be too far. And so he freaks out about that and starts screaming and yelling and cussing and carrying on at our 100-ton crane operator. They call the shop, and they're like, hey, you need to jump in the 200-ton, run out there to go set this house. So I get up there. We get the crane set up where I want it, and it's right at the limit of what I can handle at the radius that it was set at, because that idiot put it where he put it. And to give you an idea, if the basement was here, I had to put the crane in front of the basement, and he had the house on the backside of the basement. So I had to reach, I don't know, it was probably, actually, for some reason it sticks in my head, it was like 109-foot radius to grab one of the house halves. And I told him, like, I'm going to be right at the limit of my capacity. And he started arguing with me about it being a 200-ton crane, didn't understand that, it was 200 tons at a 8-foot radius or whatever it is, and whatever. His guys hook it up. They put the rigging on it. They put the straps underneath it, and they have me start cabling up on it. And when I cabled up on it, one of the straps ripped through the rim joist and tore into the kitchen floor. And that guy came unhinged, screaming and yelling and cussing at me, telling me I was the worst crane operator he's ever seen, that there was no way he was ever going to let me set that house. And they needed to get someone else up there to set it and whatever. And I told him, I'm like, well, you are out of luck because I'm the only one that operates this crane. So if we're going to set it, it's going to be me. And by the time it was all said and done, he had fired his house crew twice. The homeowner had threatened to call the sheriff on him for trespassing. He was screaming and yelling at me to the point that one of the guys that was with me thought that the guy was going to pull a gun on me. The only reason we stuck around was because the homeowner had to get his house set. And I told him, I made a promise to the homeowner. I said, by the time we leave here today, your house is going to be on the basement. I don't know how all the rest of this is going to unfold. We'll get the house set. You can fight with that guy on everything to do after that. It ended up turning into about a 14-hour day. There was a lot of screaming and yelling and cussing going around. There was people wanting to drive over people with trucks. There was almost law enforcement involved. There was almost take the crane out of there involved. It was unbelievable. By far, the worst job I've ever done in my life, and I wish I would have got it all on video, but it is what it is. That probably would have went viral. They say drama is viral, and that probably would have went viral, but Mike P did the right thing for the homeowner. And I truly believe I did, because the homeowner was a younger guy, which age doesn't matter. But anyway, he was a younger guy trying to get things done. Had bent over backwards to accommodate us getting the crane in there. It was wintertime, icy, kind of muddy, snowy, just not good situation, not good job site. And then we had to deal with a jackass on top of it. And I had my fill. I had my fill to the point that I had to have my boss drive 45 minutes to the job site to tune this guy up or talk him down, one or the other. I didn't care which one happened at that point, but I had to get my boss out there involved, because had I said much more, I either would have broke out in handcuffs or pulled the crane off the job, and I didn't want to do that to the homeowner. That kid didn't deserve what he was going through, and he was caught in the middle of it. So yes, I have had to fire a customer. I told my boss, I said, if you ever take another job for that guy again, I will quit my job. I will park the crane right where it sits, and I will go home, and I will never turn around and look back. So just know that. If you value me as a crane operator, you will not take another job for that guy again. If you don't value me as a crane operator and you take another job for him, I'm leaving. So there's that. Oh, Cody. Hey, bud. Just became an operator not too long ago. Just wanted to say your videos helped me out a lot, and thank you. Well, you're welcome, and I'm glad they've helped. And I didn't intend on this channel being an educational channel, but I mean, if you guys can apply the information that you see on here and make it work for you, knowing that you're taking it at your own risk, then so be it. But it, that kind of comment does help keep me motivated and producing content. So Josh Wellner, how are you doing? He says, good evening, all. Just getting here. Fish find, you need specialty certs to operate the 200-ton crane. My certification covers me from nothing to however many tons I want to operate as far as a hydraulic crane goes. I don't have my lattice boom certs, just for the simple being that we don't own a lattice boom crane. We used to own the old link belt. You guys saw a video of that a couple years ago. We don't own that. I don't foresee us ever owning a lattice boom crane. And honestly, the company I work for, I don't see myself going anywhere. I think I think I'll probably be there until I retire. It's a family owned business. Everybody's great to work with. Occasionally we get some stupid customers from time to time. That happens in any industry. But I mean, you take the good with the bad and you go on with it. So I never felt the need to get lattice boom certs or overhead crane certs. Definitely not run a tower crane, so I don't need tower certs. I can't maintain the physique I have by climbing up and down ladders. It's just not going to happen. Von Heels, you never see Jimmy in a tower crane. For sure. Fish fine. What's the difference between the lattice boom and the Titanos? Why would you need different certs? So lattice boom cranes typically roll around on tracks, and moving crawler cranes around is different than moving hydraulic cranes around. So there are some distinct differences between hydraulic cranes and lattice boom cranes, and not even with moving around on the job site, but even booming them up and booming them down. When you start putting luffing jibs on them, when you lay the boom down, you have to knife the jib out and all that. There are procedures for crawler cranes and lattice boom cranes that are different from hydraulic cranes. That's why the certifications are different. But yeah, if you guys ever see a tower crane video on this channel, it's because someone else recorded the footage. I promise it's not because I did it. However, what you might see at some point, I haven't let the cat out of the bag, but I'm fixing to. I do have a drone to use now. I don't have my Part 107 license yet, so I can't record any footage with it and upload it to YouTube yet unless someone else is flying it. Because the way the FAA reads is if I'm going to record drone footage, I got to have a drone license if it's going to be monetized and all that stuff. So I guess if I could get one of the guys that works with me to fly the drone while he's recording footage of me operating the crane, then I could probably still upload that because I technically wasn't the one flying it, so I didn't produce the footage for monetary value. So I guess that might be a workaround. I don't know. I don't know that I'm willing to necessarily test the limits of the federal government as it pertains to the FAA. So I will probably do the Part 107 before I ever break that out on a job site and record crane footage with it. But we do have a drone in our back pocket to at some point maybe get some crane videos with some drones. Josh Wellner, Reed and Reed here in Maine have a bunch of those cranes. At Von Hills, I don't think I've ever seen a hydraulic crane run a wrecking ball. I suppose at least to some extent it could be done. So wrecking balls and pile drivers and stuff like that tend to be pretty hard on hydraulic cranes. And that's because the booms aren't physically, okay, I can't say they're not physically pinned. They are physically pinned, but the pin tolerances aren't the same as what they are when you drive a pin into a lattice boom crane. So there is a little, when I say a little gap in there, I would say the gap on the pins on the Tadano, when the boom pins are engaged, there's probably that much space in there, about 3/8 of an inch between the top of the pin and the top of the pin boss. With it's saying ads will run shortly for some viewers. Skip ads. Heck yeah, we're skipping ads. We're gonna skip that. Sorry, had to skip that ad because, well, YouTube doesn't need to make money off of me right now. But when you're running a lattice boom crane or when you pin a lattice boom crane, the pins fit tight. I mean, they're machined almost specifically for a certain hole. The tolerances are much snugger, and there's less likelihood of things getting wallered out and worn out. Josh Wilner, Thor's hammer still in thoughts. It is. It is still in the garage too, and it is still on the engine stand. Von Heels, they're also not designed for the rapid loading, unloading, and lattice boom is more tolerant of, for sure. Russell, at what height do you need an aviation flag? I've heard a few answers and I want to settle it. I couldn't find any OSHA regulations. So you're going to tap into, I don't have a book in front of me. You're going to have to tap into some knowledge here, and I hope I'm going to tell you the right thing. I will tell you you need to research this for sure. I do know if you're within, I think it's 20,000 feet of the center of a runway, then you have to file paperwork with the FAA letting them know that you're going to be in a flight plan or could be in a flight plan or a flight path. Please make sure you double check this, Russell, but I think it's 20,000 feet. Now, I'm not saying 20,000 feet in height, 20,000 feet distance from the center of a runway. If you need to file paperwork letting that airport and that air traffic controller know that you're going to have a boom tip in the air within 20,000 feet of the center of their runway. As far as the height goes, I would think that there's no solid concrete answer on that because it's going to be determined by your distance from the runway in an airplane's flight path. And I can say that because I don't know if I talked about it before, but I actually started some pilot instructions and I've actually done some flying. I haven't for a while, but I did dive into the world of becoming a pilot. Your flight path, your glide path for an airplane is going to vary based from plane to plane, but I would say that if you're working right next to an airport, you're probably going to want a flag in the air if you're 60, 70 feet or taller. If you're as tall as the control tower or taller, you're definitely going to want a flag. If you're at either end of a runway, you absolutely are going to want a flag regardless of how high up you are. If you're a mile from a runway, but say you're lined up with a typical airplane's approach and you're 200 feet tall, you probably better have a flag on it. I don't know that there's a definitive answer for distance and elevation and flag requirement. Just know when planes come in, they don't go like this to land. They come in like this to land. And if you're anywhere in that glide path, you better have a way of showing them where you're at. Russell says it was approximately 200 yards from a helipad at a hospital once, and I was required to have a flag regardless of the height. My max boom tip height was about 160 feet. I wouldn't balk at that. I would absolutely put a flag on for that. You're 600 feet away from the center of a helipad, and you're 160 feet tall, and being a life flight, who knows where they're going to come from, at what altitude, and what speed, and what direction. I would absolutely have a flag for that. Honestly, if I was within 600 feet of a helipad at a hospital, I would want a flag if I was 80 feet tall. Because you just never know, especially with helicopters. You never know what they're going to do to get on the ground. And when it comes to patients, I was an EMT for a short period of time and have experienced being around life flight helicopter pilots. And there's a lot of those guys that will do insane things with a helicopter to get a patient in and out of a hospital. So, when in doubt, CYA on the flag thing. Shane Davis, hey Jimmy, love watching your videos. Really helping you start posting like you used to. I'm gonna try to. It's tough. It is genuinely tough to keep up with the world of YouTube and editing videos. Von Hills, I think it's much like anything else. If there's a question, it costs very little to add an aviation flag or beacon for sure. Mike P, most of the lattice around here seem to have a flag on the end of the boom, regardless of boom length. Fish find there's a couple cranes at O'Hare. Each has a flag. They're all on the airport property. One was maybe 80 feet high and had its flag. That, when in doubt, put it on there. It doesn't take much to put the flag on. I would rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. I can tell you, you stick a boom in the air without a flag on it and you take a plane down, it's going to be bad juju for everybody involved. Or if you take a helicopter down, you take anything out of the sky with a crane and you didn't have a flag on and you didn't do your due diligence as far as filing the appropriate paperwork, if you're within a certain distance of an airport, you're going to be in a world of stink for sure. The best attorneys in the world won't get you out of that. Josh says 2 years ago we were off to the side of the runway, half a mile away, 80 feet. We had to have a flag. Von Hill's the chief pilot for Life Flight. Here was former military, and I've seen him do things I didn't think helicopters could do, and that was with only my 2 days of ride along with him. Russell, bad juju is putting it very lightly, for sure. Fish find. At least if you take that up on, you can probably blame them, as the media won't blame them for anything. Yeah, it. If you're going to be working around airports, and we have an airport in our vicinity, actually several, but we've got one that's actually it's a like a community airport, but it's also a National Guard base. So we have C-130s that fly out of it all the time. An occasional C-17 comes in. Not much bigger than that. KC-135 occasionally, but a lot of C-130s fly out of it. And I posted a video a while back. It's been a couple years ago, but I got buzzed by a C-130. Dale Whitehead Idecker has flags on most of their equipment working at KCI, for sure. Dale is obviously a local. But I got buzzed by a C-130 a few years ago, and I posted the video of it. And I had people that were like telling me that I was full of crap, that, the distance that they were from the crane was not what I said it was. And some of the comments were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. As it turns out, and I looked it up on Google Earth, I was about 21,000 feet from the center of their runway, and I was 246 feet tall, and I was right in the middle of one of their training glide slopes for that particular runway. I was like, if they were coming in to train on that runway, I was dead set in line with that runway and 246 feet tall, but I was outside of the distance required for the FAA paperwork. However, I don't know if anybody has military bases around them. When military planes are flying training missions, they don't abide by the rules and regulations as stipulated by the FAA. They abide by what they want to do based on the fact that they're the United States military and can do whatever the heck they want, regardless of how it pertains to the FAA to a certain degree. And I know for sure that they were within 150 or so feet of the tip of the jib on that Tadano. I also happened to talk to a friend of mine that is a navigator, or was a navigator on a C-130. So he has flown out of that base hundreds of times and knows pilots. And I asked him about it. I'm like, would they get that close to a crane? And he said they absolutely would get that close to a crane just to send a message to you that maybe you should do things different next time. And then, so they went by once and they were pretty close. They went by again and they were even closer. And he said, I'm guessing the second time around, they were probably locking your point on GPS and sending information out to the other airplanes in the area, letting people know exactly where you were at and exactly your altitude, so they would know to avoid you as you were on the ground. So there's that. But I know for certain that I had a C-130 within 150 or so feet from the tip of the jib on the 200-ton crane. So that's fun. I couldn't go anywhere to deviate. I guess I could boom down or swing left, but it's not like I could necessarily get out of their way. It would be up to them to see it and get out of the way. So, Von Heels, that would wake you up. It absolutely did. Fish Finder, you could have looked at their transponder data to see what their elevation was when they flew by. Here's the long of the short on the transponder information on military aircraft. They don't always have their transponder on for elevation and location on military aircraft. I've got Flight Aware and some other stuff where you can. Well, we'll just pull it up real quick. Pepper, good evening from Houston, Texas. When I started diving into the world of flying, I downloaded Flight Aware. It's kind of a neat app. For those that aren't familiar, that is currently the air traffic over the United States, which is kind of scary. But then you can zoom in and you can start seeing individual flights, individual planes. And then you can zoom in further. Let's see, what is over? And I've even found hot air balloons and stuff, or weather balloons and stuff on here. Let's see what this little helicopter is right here that looks like it might be over. Oh, it's part of Oklahoma. It's currently at 4,700 feet, traveling east at 127 knots. We're going to click on it. Oh, coming out of Kansas, going into Oklahoma. It looks like it started out of Dodge City, Kansas Regional Airport. It doesn't say exactly where it's going, but it's currently at 4,700 feet, traveling 127 knots. Von Hill, short version military aircraft are not required to activate their transponders. Fish find when they do non-military flights, they're supposed to be on like civilian planes. Flight Radar 24 might be better. Also check ads be changed. Some of the service providers like FlightAware don't show military planes. Yeah, FlightAware does not show it. And almost anytime the C-130s around here are flying around, they're doing military flights. They're doing training flights. So the base that we have over here is actually a C-130 training facility. So they bring people in from all over the world and train them on the different flight systems and whatnot of the C-130 aircraft. So I would say, just guessing, 95% of their airtime in our area is military based. Josh Wilner, it must be just like Vessel Tracker. I don't know anything about Vessel Tracker. Russell, I remember you spoke well with an GR 1000 XL. I'm currently in a GR 750 XL. I'm pretty impressed that sucker will lift. The Tadano GR cranes are great machines. I need to get some footage of Jehu. Great to see you. Could have used your services on my last delivery, third floor Chicago walk up. Oh yeah, that'd be no good. We have purchased a GR 15, I think is what it is. So we have a 15-ton rough terrain Tadano. It's like a little city crane. Let's see. That's a GR 150. Let's see if I got a picture of it. If I do, it's going to be an old one. We've had it for a little while, but I also haven't posted a lot. Let's see if I got a picture of it. I'll try to get some footage in it when this heals because I can't operate it right now with this. Where's the GR 150? Maybe I can get some video or pictures of someone else operating it. Oh, hey, here's that house we were talking about. When someone asked if I had a customer that we fired. Here's the rim joist after the strap went through it. That was fun. to give you an idea of what kind of person we were working with, you guys are all going to find this humorous. Let me get here. Make sure you can't see any identifying markings. Okay. You guys aren't going to believe this. So this is that guy's truck, the guy that was arguing with me and starting all kinds of crap and whatnot, not to backtrack or anything. That's his F-150. You guys see all those ratchet straps back there? I think my phone's getting ready. Okay, let's see. All those ratchet straps at the tailgate? Guess what those are for? Those are holding his receiver hitch up because his receiver hitch was getting ready to fall off. So he ratchet strapped his receiver hitch to the back of his truck. And he was pulling a trailer with about 4,000 pounds on it with ratchet straps holding his receiver hitch up. Fun times. Where's the GR150? I thought I had some pictures of it. Maybe I don't. Well, anyway, I'll try to get some footage of it with someone else in it. Fish fine. Okay. Jay, he'll get better soon. 4 weeks of this and then a few weeks of splints. Fish fine doesn't seem like a person with sound judgment. Jehu, nice. It was nice. It was, oh my gosh. Jehu. Late to the chat. Did he lose the trailer while driving? No, he didn't lose the trailer. It was a guy that was starting some stuff on a job site. Javon Hill's ratchet straps are not rigging, but it never stops people from trying. Fish fine random question. I just remembered, is your wife still on those billboards? My wife is not on any billboards. Russell, I know you're not supposed to talk about it, but I gently pushed that 75-ton past its capacity, like by a lot, and it handled it like nothing. I got nothing. So it works. Josh Walner, I've done some stupid stuff, but that takes the cake. Fish fine. What's the safety factor on those cranes? So typically, crane manufacturers test their machines to 110 to 120% of capacity. So if your load chart says you can pick 10,000, they've tested it to 12,000 at that spot. But yeah, it's not like rigging where you have a 4-to-1 or a 5-to-1 safety factor. Typically, it's just 120% or 110% or 115%. It'll specify in the manual. Von Heels for lattice booms, the load meter used to be your seat, for sure. Back in the old days when they used to have the motto "When in doubt, build it stout." People would just run them until they didn't feel comfortable anymore. And unfortunately, that stuff still happens with some of the newer stuff, which is why there's a lot of crane videos out there, cranes getting torn apart and turned over and whatnot. So cranes have a structural and a stability chart, generally. If you're in the structural chart and you go beyond your capacity, then the crane boom can just break in half, or the outriggers might fail, or the chassis might fail, whatever. Something might fail before it ever turns over or ever gets light. When you're in the stability side of things, theoretically, it should want to tip over before it breaks itself. Like I said, theoretically, the Von Heels and Dozer suck to the front. Now, you can supersede your stability chart by attaching a dozer to the front, and then you have put yourself inadvertently in a structural chart when you should be in the stability chart. And at that point, it might collapse before it turns itself over just because you've anchored a D10 to the front of it or whatever. I don't advise any of that. You guys got to understand, when it comes to the world of litigation, whatever the manufacturer says is what they're going to revert to. So that can also, I got to be kind of careful on how I say this. If OSHA says one thing and then the manufacturer says another, and the manufacturer standard is more stringent than OSHA, then they're going to revert to the manufacturer standard on that. The inverse is also true. If OSHA says one thing and the manufacturer says another, and the OSHA standard is more stringent than the manufacturer standard, they're probably going to revert to the OSHA standard. You got to, everybody operating cranes and working in the world of cranes and construction and whatnot has to understand that the world we live in today is a world of pin blame on somebody. So they are always wanting to find someone to blame for something. If something goes wrong, someone's responsible, and they're going to try to pin it on somebody. So always cover your bases, cover yourself. Make sure that you're within your OSHA guidelines and your manufacturer guidelines. Because when it comes to the court of law, those judges and those attorneys and those jurors and everybody else, they don't know diddly squat about the world that we operate in, but they do know how to read, and they're going to read it in black and white. And the black and white is going to be what tells the tale. Doesn't matter how many fancy words you throw at them about deflection and stability triangles or load bearing or whatever, PSI, any of that stuff. They don't care. They only care about what they can read in black and white. Fish find, do I still use Instagram? I don't know that I've been on Instagram in a long time. I probably should get back to using Instagram. It's kind of a neat way just to throw some pictures out there, stuff that I'm doing, but um, it's just one more thing to do. Von Heels, you get yourself in a ton of trouble if you disable the beeper too, even if having it turned on wouldn't have made a lick of difference. For sure. Fish find it so take his society. Yeah, it's all about, hey, we're gonna pin the blame on somebody, and someone's gonna pay. They're either gonna pay with money, or they're gonna pay with their time, or they're gonna pay with their freedom, or whatever. Someone's gonna pay for something. Pepper, I run a 20 to 35 ton boom truck swinging ACs mostly, and I've had a hard time getting some customers who don't speak good English to understand the machine has limits. Any advice on getting them to understand? Um, that's Pepper. It's kind of a tough one. If you're working with customers, you're setting AC units and whatnot. You're obviously in the crane rental world or the taxi crane service. Um, you can try to teach them how to read load charts, which I've found doesn't work. It's kind of a waste of time. You can show them on a piece of paper, and some people just don't grasp it. Um, Here's the way I tell people, and I tell, so we're a construction company and a crane rental company. We've got our own superintendents on our own job sites. We've got other customers on job sites. I mean, we cover a pretty large swath of dealing with individuals outside of the crane seat. Here's what I tell them: I will always give you 100% of what the crane's capable of, as long as I can do it without jeopardizing anybody's safety, jeopardizing the safety of the crane, or jeopardizing my own safety. If I can't cover all of those bases, then I'm not going to give them 100% of what the crane's capable of. I will give them what I feel like I can give them safely without jeopardizing one, two, or three. But, if you're on hard, solid, flat ground Everything's a perfect world. You can give them 100% of your load chart. I might catch a little bit of flack for this. There's a lot of people that think, well, just because it's in the chart, you can go out there and do it. In a perfect world, you absolutely can. Keep in mind, they test these cranes on 2 feet of concrete, flat level ground. Sometimes they put them on a skew and they'll they'll test them on a little bit of an angle and whatnot. They didn't put that crane on, you know, 3 feet of recently backfilled black dirt that was compacted in 6-inch lifts by a walk behind roller and test it. You have to understand what your machine's capable of, and you also have to understand what the job site will allow and act accordingly. So don't be one of those people that looks in your chart and be like, "Oh, I can handle 15,000 pounds at 75 feet." Yeah, the crane's physically capable of doing that. Are the site conditions capable of doing that? But anyway, sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent. For you to get them to understand that, just tell them, I'm willing to do whatever I can with this machine to help you facilitate your job. I'm not here to wreck your job. I'm not here to slow your job down. I'm not here to cost you money. I'm here to make you more efficient. And I will give you the best of my ability and the best of the machine's ability to do that. If for some reason your job falls outside of that scope, I can't help that. We can regroup, try to find a different solution or whatever, move the machine, do whatever you got to do to help them get their job done. They have to know that you're on their side. Your job is to help them do their job. Your job is to help them make their job safer and more efficient. So, sell that to them. Sell them the fact that you're there to help them be safer and more efficient. Get them on your side. And it will go a long ways, especially if you're dealing with the same customers over and over again. We've got a lot of customers that I can pull into a job site and be like, hey, look, this isn't going to work. And they will absolutely understand it without questioning me at all and be like, so what do we need to do different to make it work? And then I tell them, we make it happen and we get the job done. They don't question it. I've also been on jobs where they're like, well, but can you? I'm like, if it jeopardizes one, two, or three, no, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Because the end result is someone could get hurt or killed, the crane could get destroyed, or my safety could be in jeopardy, and it's not worth that. Making a dollar is not worth killing somebody over, but just get them on your side, sell them on that. You'll be okay. You'll learn to do that. Just be tactful, understanding. Ask them to be the same with you. Be understanding, and give them what you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with it, do something different. It's always better to regroup before an accident happens. Russell said, I've learned being an operator doesn't mean you have to be a jerk, but it's certainly a position of authority. You can't be scared of saying no. For sure. And I've worked around people that have trouble telling people no. And if you're not one of those people that can tell someone no and stand behind it and not get bullied into a situation, you better keep your butt out of the seat, because at some point someone's going to put you in a position where you should have told them no and you didn't, and something's going to happen. Jehu at Pepper, if they speak Spanish and you want to do something crazy, say this phrase. No, Mom, that's I don't know what that is. I don't speak Spanish. Russell, no, it means I can't. That's all you need to say. Josh Wilner on muddy ground for sure. Pepper, appreciate it. That's pretty much how I feel. I just needed to know the craning community has my back. Von Heels, you have also said you will not set up the crane up at an angle just to get more tip height because there's no specification for level setup. There's not. If you're outside of 1% of level, your load charts are junk. You just will throw them in the trash, because you have to have the crane within 1% of level per the OSHA standard, and 99.9%. Oh, it's fixing to run ads. 29, 28. Nope, we're skipping ads. But 99% of manufacturers want the crane within 1% of level. There are times, like barge work, where you're allowed to be certain degrees out of level per the manufacturer. It will be in your book. It will be in your notes, operator's manual, whatever. But anyway, you can't just pull into a job site with a boom truck and crank the back end 10 inches higher than the front end just so you can reach a little bit higher. It's not allowed. It's not legal. But Pepper, I could go on a tangent as far as the craning community having your back. And I'm going to try not to go way out in left field on this. Um, about 50% of the people you encounter in the crane world will have your back, maybe more. There's also a certain degree of people out there that think they rode a horse to work in the morning and lassoed everything on their way to work and will throw their Stetson behind their seat and dig their spurs into the back of the seat and do whatever anybody asks them to do with a crane. Those are the people that are going to get people wadded up at the end of the day. So there's that. Here's the thing, Pepper, and I don't know how long you've been following the channel. Um, I know I don't recognize your name on live stream comments much, but you have to be willing to live with the fact that what you're doing is right, and you have to stand behind it, and up to the point of even walking away from a job if you have to. Like, I can tell you, I've been with the company I'm with since around 2015-ish, and I've made decisions on a job site that were not very popular with other people on the job site, superintendents or whatever, construction management people, customers, owners, whatever. But I stood behind those decisions, and I would stand behind them to the point that if it took me shutting the crane down, breaking the key off the ignition, and walking away from it and disabling the crane so no one else could do it, I would absolutely do it if I felt necessary. It is our responsibility to make sure everybody that's working around that crane goes home to their families at the end of the day. People don't get that. And I've even caught flack on comments on here about it, like, oh, you take this too seriously, or you're way over the top, or whatever. What are you willing to live with at the end of the day? Are you willing to sit in a jail cell knowing that you could have done something different, but you didn't, and you just killed 10 people? Do you want to live with that the rest of your days? I don't. I would rather tell someone to pack sand and come back the next day and do something different. So, I will absolutely have your back. My email address is on my YouTube channel. If you get in a situation where someone's throwing flack your way over something and you feel it's necessary to reach out to me for support, shoot me an email. I'll give you my phone number. I don't care. I'll talk to a superintendent on a job site and tell them how stupid they're being, and I'll do it on your behalf. I've got your back on that if you feel like it's something that you need to walk away from. I'm not a professional in the eyes of a court of law. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I am. I don't know. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel that's been operating cranes for a while, knows a little bit about a few things. But when it comes to the safety of the people working around you, don't jeopardize that. Because if something happens, you got to live with it. And here's how I have explained it to our superintendents before at work, because we don't clash with customers, we clash with our own employees. It's just the dynamic, the way it works. So one of our superintendents says, I don't know what you're so upset about, because if something happens, I got to go talk to our owner just like you do. And I said, you're not seeing the big picture. If something happens, the difference between you and I is you're going to be sitting in a courtroom as a witness, and I'm going to be sitting in a courtroom as a defendant. That's the difference. As soon as you get crane certification and you put your butt in the seat and you do something that is stupid or misaligned with industry standard or manufacturer's recommendations or OSHA standards or neglect or willful misconduct, whatever, as soon as you do any of that stuff, you have become a defendant. Everybody else that was on that job site that day that survived your mishap is now a witness. So pick your battles. But my rule, everybody goes home the same way they showed up, maybe a little bit more tired. The crane doesn't get damaged and I don't get hurt. Because if the crane gets damaged or I get hurt, that automatically affects rule number one, which is nobody gets hurt. Nobody outside the crane gets hurt. You have to take that serious. This is a serious business, and a lot of people, they just blow it off like, oh, it's just crane stuff. Yeah, it is just crane stuff. Construction's inherently dangerous. Cranes make it that much more inherently dangerous. So sorry for the tangent. It doesn't, as you guys can tell, it doesn't take much to get me to go off on a tangent, but that's where it is. That's where you got to be with it. Fish fine when you're out of level, is that a D-rate percent you can use? It depends. Depends on what the manufacturer says. I will always revert to manufacturer's recommendations, always, because like I said earlier, when it comes to court, those people only read in black and white. Time to watch Crazy on Gold Rush. Thanks for your hand update. The crane talk out. Well, thanks for stopping in, Matt DJ. I can't watch the Crazies on Gold Rush anymore because my wife can't stand watching it with me, because I pick them apart when they have a failure or manufactured problems, and it's not real TV and it's manufactured drama. I don't dig it. Not anymore. Bonnie Hills, I've seen it done both to reduce radius and increase tip height on a boom truck in a tight spot. Now, I have jacked my outriggers up all the way to get the crane as high off the ground as I can to gain a little bit of tip height. The difference is I made sure the crane was still level. You got to make sure that you're still within level. Oh, Von Hill's 24-inch difference. Front axle was on the ground. The back was blocked to 24 inches. Yeah, that's no good. 24 inches out of level from front to back. Nada. Pepper, this is my first time on your live. I've watched your videos in the past because I want to go bigger cranes. I've been working my way up. That's where you got it. I mean, you got to start somewhere and just gradually work your way up. Just don't get out over the tip of your skis. Fish fine to the top crane, over the top crane. Some might say so. I mean, it's different strokes for different folks, I guess. I mean, some people don't wear a seatbelt. That's on them. But not wearing a seatbelt jeopardizes me. Turning the crane over jeopardizes everybody within the working radius of the crane. So there's that. Yes, I understand why they did it. Frankly, what they were lifting was not very heavy, but still decided to find different entrance into the building. Josh Wellner, stay away from those people. Doesn't what kind of work you do? Main lobster captain and tree work ground guy in the winter. I agree with Jimmy. Von Hills, the court and the jury does not put any weight behind my boss told me to do it. For sure. Jehu, I still can't believe that there are still people who walk under lifted loads. There are people that walk under lifted loads, and I even posted a video probably 3 or 4 years ago showing why you shouldn't. When I was laying a tank down and the tailing lug ripped out of the tank and the bottom of the tank fell. That's why you don't walk under lifted loads. Now, there are working operations where sometimes they're underneath a load. Setting trusses on a house, for instance, is one of those deals. Flying steel to a bunch of iron workers is one of those things. Building a cell phone tower is one of those times. There are times when it does happen. But Russell, I always make sure my wheels are off the ground when leveling, but how important is it? In an effort not to sound like a broken record, I will go on record to say that you need to consult the manufacturer's recommendations and specifications when it comes to that. But the OSHA standard dictates that your tires cannot be supporting any weight of the crane. And if they are, when you're using your outrigger chart, If your tires are supporting weight of the crane, then you have to use your rubber chart if you have one. But I've seen guys that raise their tires a foot off the ground, and I've seen guys that have their tires barely touching the ground. I sometimes am in situations where my tires are still barely touching the ground. You can obviously look at a tire and see if it's supporting any weight just by looking down the sidewall of it and using a little common sense. One would like to think, and I'm hoping I'm not opening myself up for interpretation on this, but one would like to think that if a person has enough common sense to get their crane certs and make their way through the test and didn't buy their crane certification from somewhere, that they could look down the sidewall of a tire and see if it's got any weight on it. However, in your operator's manual that came with the machine or the manufacturer's guidelines, it will dictate what you have to have for your crane setup. And if it does not, then you have to revert to the OSHA standard, which would be a little more strict because the manufacturer didn't include it. And like I said, the OSHA standard states that your tires cannot be carrying any load if you're using your outrigger load chart. It's easier just to get a little bit of daylight under your tires most of the time. Sometimes you're on uneven ground. Sometimes there's a little hump in the ground or whatever, and you might have this much of a tire touching a little piece of gravel. Is that going to make or break the situation? I don't know. Every situation's different. I basically just did the big runaround thing. I Washington DC'd you. Sorry. But yes, you consult the manufacturer, use your best judgment. Um, you're the one that's got to deal with it if something happens. Fish fine. I was just following orders. Didn't do so well during the yeah, for sure. Jack's Lane Clearing Excavation. How are you doing? Pepper, I used to have a load of pictures in my phone of customers jerry rigging loads. I stopped taking pictures because it became a regular thing. Here's the skinny on that. If you can see it, you own it. If you're in the seat and you're flying it, it's your baby. So there's that. If you knowingly fly a piece that has been rigged incorrectly and something happens, you're the one that did it. Just so you know. The only time I've heard of when something was rigged incorrectly and the operator wasn't held responsible was when it was rigged in the blind and flown in the blind and they couldn't see it at all. There was no time at any point in time that the operator could see the way the load was rigged and handled and flown. And at that point in time, the riggers became responsible for it. If the operator can physically see it and they still make the pick and they know that it's wrong, ultimately it's on your shoulders. Jehu just had a guy riding with me in a box truck. Personally kept hitting snowbanks on right turns. He was flopping around trying to find something to grab. He helped me stop hitting him. Mike P, got to run. Jimmy, have a good evening. Hope you have a good evening as well. Woodcutter, hey Jimmy, been a while. Zen Watts changed my username a while back. Well, hello there, Zen Watts. Pepper, never when it was on the ground, always after it was rigged on the roof and I was flying it down. So at that point, you can't see it when they rigged it, and by the time you're flying it down, it's too late. They would probably be more unsafe to stop and put it back up there than it would be just to get it on the ground in a hurry. But I mean, use your own judgment. Be careful. You know, I can't stress that enough. Cover your own butt because no one else is going to cover it for you. It's a blame somebody world. Always is. There's always someone out there looking to blame someone for something, whether they stubbed their toe, that someone shouldn't have put the coffee table in the way or shouldn't have put that toe on your foot where they put it. I mean, it's ridiculous where we've come as a society that people want to blame everybody for everything that's going wrong in their life when realistically they should probably just stand back and look at themselves and be like, I screwed up. Von Hills, there's a video you have on the channel where you find out just how quickly you can get that boom taken down when weather pops up. That was actually the same video where we were pulling the house off the basement, I think. We had storms rolling in. I had to retract in a hurry and get the boom laid down. Woodcutter, thoughts on Mantex 22101. I'm planning to buy one for my tree service in a few years. We play with 3102 all the time, but the A-frame outriggers suck, in my opinion. Near impossible to fit in tight places. Man, you guys are gonna make me dive into manufacturers. Honestly, if I had to go buy a new boom truck today, it'd be a National. Sorry, but I mean, we've got 250 128s. They've been okay machines. They have some electrical issues from time to time and some other stuff here and there. I just, in my opinion, my humble opinion for what it's worth, which it's not worth much, I think National is the standard that most boom trucks are built by. I mean, National boom trucks are just good machines. They're all going to have issues at some point. I guess a good way to look at it is this: what can you get serviced in your area in a timely fashion? Because every machine is going to break down at some point. What machine can you get support for? And that's what I would roll with. If you can get good support on a Manitex in your area, by all means, have at it. They're not a bad machine. Are they a National? I don't think so. Are they an Elliott? Absolutely not. But what can you get support for in your area? That's what I would go with. Pepper, I've been thinking about putting a GoPro at the boom tip so I can watch them. The only thing with putting a GoPro on the tip of the boom, and I've got GoPros that I can connect to my phone remotely and whatnot, and I think someone just came downstairs. Yep, there's the wifey. Yes, dear. What? Are you gonna stand there and stare at me? Or are you gonna come say hi to everybody? I'll flip that camera around. I don't care. It's only 37 people. What? I don't care. What should we do for dinner? What's everybody think we should do for dinner? I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Surprise me. Woodcutter says spaghetti. But with using a GoPro on the tip of the boom, I had a lot of connection issues as far as trying to get my phone to connect to a GoPro at that distance reliably. And really, there's even a part of the OSHA standard that says that you can't be bothered by electronics in the cab while you're making a pick. That's why 99.999% of my videos on the channel are a camera stuck up in the top of the cab. I hit record and let it do its thing because it can sit there and record without me having to worry about what it's doing. Therefore, I am not bothered, or that's not causing interference to what I'm trying to do. If you had this thing connected to a GoPro and the GoPro at the end of the boom pointing down, and you're trying to monitor what the GoPro is doing on this, and you're having connection issues, now all of a sudden you are being interfered in the operation of the crane by an electronic device which is outside the OSHA standard. So there's that. John Warren, how are you doing, John? Says hello, old buddy. Von Hills, for some reason, I think it was a cell tower, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. I might have had a cell tower too, where I had to retract and get down out of there. Jay, who had a crane guy show me how to strap refrigerators and ranges when using crane. Since then, I always rig my own loads. Woodcutter Nationals are pretty good from what I hear. I got to see if they make one that compares with the 22101. Let's see, Woodcutter, no idea what support I can get in the area. Only place I know of that works on cranes local is All Crane in Knoxville. So, do some research on that. And what are some of the other people in the area running? I would look at that and maybe pick some brains around the area and see what people are getting getting good support on and whatnot in your area. Fish fine. Would you need a CCV type camera with a telephoto lens? There are manufacturers that are putting cameras on the end of booms pointing down and using basically a CCV type camera, closed circuit television. Whether it's a good or bad thing, I mean, it would be nice to see it at times so you can help center up over a load, or you can see what you're getting ready to land on, all that stuff. But it depends on depends the type of work you're doing, I guess. Pepper mayonnaise sandwich. I'm not down for a mayonnaise sandwich. I didn't get this physique by eating mayonnaise sandwiches. Tacos. Had spaghetti with meat sauce today. Vegemite sandwich. Josh Wellner says, once again, I agree with Jimmy. The last tree company I worked off is on his second national. Josh Wellner, corned beef would be good. Woodcutter, everything I see local is Terex, Manitex, National, and Altec. Lots of link belts and groves for truck cranes, but that's too big for me. Okay, so Von Heels asks, how did that work with the OSHA standard as far as cameras? I presume it was factory equipment. It's not considered a distraction. I wouldn't think that would be considered a distraction. And really, what the OSHA standard is written for is to keep operators from jacking around on their phones while they're making picks. Like sitting here doing this, recording while they're trying to operate the crane, or maybe some of this while they're trying to operate the crane. Or I've done some of this because I was using my phone for signaling purposes, which is permissible. I would think if it's manufacturer's equipment, that's not going to be considered a distraction. Woodcutter. So let's go back to your everything you see is Terex, Manitex, National, and Altec. I'm not a fan of the Terex. Terex was actually bought out by, I think, Custom Truck in Kansas City, and is now called Load King. I'm not familiar with any of the Load King equipment because I haven't got to run any of it. The Manitexes, the only experience I have with Manitexes are our own 5128s. We've got an older one and a newer one. So we've got a flat glass cab, and then we've got a curved glass cab. Nationals, I've been around a few Nationals, and they make a great machine. The older Altecs, and I might get crucified from some local people about this because Altec is local to us. The older Altec stuff, I'm not a fan of. The new Altec stuff, they have come leaps and bounds ahead of where they were before. They're using technology that is currently in use in bigger machines, like variable displacement piston pumps that rely on joystick input for pump output. So what that means is when you're sitting there idling, waiting for someone to do something, your pump is actually not pumping any oil, it's disengaged, versus a gear pump where you're constantly pumping oil as long as your PTO is engaged. So you're burning less fuel, but also that gives you the ability to ramp up or ramp down your controls more effectively, can make for a smoother operating machine, gives you significantly more control over the entire hydraulic system as far as pressure is concerned. Another thing that Altec's doing is where they didn't used to before, they're giving you independent controls over your jacks and your beams. What's some of the other features? Fortunately, being close to them, they occasionally bring us a machine and let us play with it when they spit it out off the line and want to get some feedback. So a lot of times when you guys see Altec cranes out on the market, I have already put my butt in the seat of one of them and played with it some. Actually, I've talked to Altec a few times about maybe making some YouTube videos about it and putting some stuff out there, but it's kind of a touchy situation because some of the stuff they're doing is proprietary and isn't necessarily covered yet. So, yeah, gray area. But I'm pretty impressed with some of the new Altec stuff. When I say some of the new, I mean new as in 2023 and newer. So very, very new stuff. Let's see. John says, "What have you been up to? I haven't seen anything on here, or did I miss some posting?" I've posted a few videos. I don't know. I think my last one was what 3-4 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. I don't remember. Von Heels, you should use whatever signaling method provides the clearest rapid communication for sure. Woodcutter, so national dealer looks to be in PA. There's a Manitex dealer 23 miles away in Knoxville. If there's a Manitex dealer 23 miles away and you can get good service out of them, by all means, then jump on the Manitex train. I don't think you're going to be upset with it. Just know that there's some quirky stuff here and there occasionally with a Manitex that just, you might find like, man, that kind of sucks. Not something that you can't work around, but for example, I'll give you a prime example. Both of our 50 128s, the winches on them suck. I hate them. And they're machines that are separated in model year by 5, 6, 7 years, maybe. Line pulls on those cranes is 10,000 pounds. If you're picking a load that's 7,000, you better put 2 parts in it, or it's going to be jerky as hell, and it sometimes feels like you can't really control it to set it down gently. If you were lifting an 8,000 pound basket of eggs, you better put 2 to 4 parts of line in that Manitex to set it down gently to not break any eggs. And Manitex can hate on me all day long. They can send me a phone book full of emails if they want talking about this. I don't care. Their winches are terrible. If their line pulls 10,000 pounds, in my opinion, they should derate that line pull to 6,000 because their winches suck. That's how strongly I feel about them. I've never ran into that with a national. If the national line pulls 10,000 pounds, you can pick 9,999 pounds pretty gently and set it down very controlled. You cannot do that with a Manitex. You can't. Absolutely can't. At least the 2 that we've got. Absolutely can't. So there's that. But you're handling trees. If you think you're going to be picking something that's 6,000, put 2 parts in it where you're good for 20. Realistically, you can gently handle up to about 14. So take that for what it's worth. And if anybody from Manitex is watching, shoot me an email. I'll tell you about it. You can show up at our shop. I'll show you. We can put 7,000 pounds on a single part of line on our 50 128, and I'll show you that you absolutely, no matter what you do, you can't set it down precisely and under complete control. You just can't do it. Fishwind, have you gotten out to the range at all and do any shooting? I have not. And according to this, I'm probably not going to for a little while unless I use this one, which I can shoot left-handed. I can do a lot of things left-handed. Fish fine. So their hydro pump operates like a zero turn hydro motor. Similar. A zero turn hydro motor is a variable displacement piston motor. The difference is a variable displacement piston pump is you're pumping oil as opposed to receiving oil and turning it into rotating motion. But yes, similar. Russell, I ran a couple Mantex boom trucks that have all the creature comforts like tilt cab, radio, etc., more than other kinds of similar size, in my opinion. Yeah. Woodcutter, whatever I get, has to have an internal LMI. Our two 5128s don't have an internal LMI cable. I can understand why you want one doing tree work. We do some tree work occasionally with external, and I've had to work on the LMI cable a couple times. It's a fact of life that does happen. I can tell you with an internal LMI, when something does happen, it's a little more difficult to mess with versus an external. But it seems the frequency of that happening in tree work is a lot less when it's internal. Yeah, I get. I mean, I get the internal LMI would be definitely handy with tree work. Josh Wellner, I love your honesty. That's one thing about me. If you don't want an honest opinion, you better not ask me, because if you ask me, it's coming at you. And honestly, I mean, I try to stay very family friendly and oriented and whatnot, and so I keep the language under control on the channel. Um, but I will give someone my straight up opinion, and if someone comes at me too hard, we'll augment that opinion with a few choice words. Because in our industry, we use choice words like commas. Woodcutter Mantex we ran always has a broken LMI, plus the LMI or a winch rabbit mode button always shorts out, so we were stuck on high gear and paper charts. Yeah, having your winch stuck on high speed sucks, because then it always seems like if you're stuck on high speed, one part's way too fast, two parts is too slow. Uh, yeah, yeah. But you could tell the company that you're renting it from to fix it before they send it to you. I mean, tell them you want to try it where everything works correctly, because you might want to buy one someday. If you're paying your hard-earned money for a rental machine, make them give it to you 100% correct. If the crane rental company you're working with isn't willing to give you a correct machine, or a machine that's 100% ready to roll and everything functions like it's supposed to, I don't know that I would want them working on my machines for my company. I mean, take that for what it's worth. John Warren, what happened to your hand, Jimmy? So we talked about earlier in the live stream. Jimmy, being a 46-year-old man child, got upset and decided that he was going to use his hand as a stud finder, and found it. So I had surgery on Tuesday. Now I got 3 pins in my hand for the next 4 weeks. Woodcutter, I will look into the Altec. I'm friends with a local dude with a 38 127S, so I might get some seat time. If it's one of the older ones, don't waste your time with it, because you're going to be upset with it. If it's one of the new ones, jump in it and see what you think of it. But if it's one of the old ones, don't waste your time with it, because you're not gonna be happy with it. One of the old Altecs are not good boom trucks, in my opinion. They were based off of the bucket truck world, where your outriggers go out and down all off the same switch, and they're kind of a nightmare to get level sometimes. The chassis feels like it's a stick stuck into a piece of Play-Doh. You can still be in your chart and have one outrigger 2 feet off the ground. They're that flexible. I mean, it the older Altecs I don't feel or something that you probably want to waste your time getting in. If you can get a new one, have at it because you'll probably enjoy running one of the brand new ones. Fish find. What's the smallest crane I've ran? We've got a 4-ton Broderson at work that I don't even fit all the way in. So when I'm sitting in the operator's seat of it, um, basically this part of me is hanging out of the side of the cab because I physically cannot fit inside of it. Von Hills. Josh Wellner, he got frustrated, found stood with his fist. Woodcutter, my operators asked me to get up to the boom to untangle that cable a few times. Fish, if the crane is broken, ask for a discount. If the crane is too broken, don't run it because then you're putting yourself at liability. Woodcutter, it's an operated rental. Unfortunately, I get 0 stick time on it. I do get to operate a little bit with a buddy's crane working on my stuff, though. John Warren, I could hear your wife saying something very smart to you over that one. Actually, she wasn't upset. She probably is like, that's what I get for being married to a 46-year-old man child. So, Woodcutter, do you own the company? Let's ask you that. My turn to ask you some questions. Do you own the company? Fish find, at least his daughter could have patched him up. Okay, so Woodcutter owns the company. If you own the company, and am I to assume that you have operated cranes in the past? So let's answer that one. We're going to go down a rabbit hole a little bit. We'll wait for a response there. I've operated Buddy's little 4-ton digger derrick, but that's it. Okay. So realistically, and I'm not throwing rocks at you, but realistically, you're not 100% certain of what you're looking for in a crane because you don't operate the crane, but you own the company and you've got a little bit of experience on a digger derrick. So you're looking for someone with some experience to steer you in the right direction on what to buy. Let's see. I run anything though, dozer, skid steer, excavator, bucket truck, etc. Do you have an operator that works specifically for you or someone that is a crane operator that you know that you can put in it and get genuine, honest feedback on? Pretty much, yes. I know what I need for setup options, boom length, etc. Just no real stick time. So if you've got someone that you can trust with, let's see, what did you say you were looking at? Manitex. I got to scroll back up here. Hopefully, I don't skip over it. Where's that? So you're looking at a 30-ton with 102 foot of stick. I don't know what age you're looking at. Do you have a crane operator friend that you trust spending 300,000 of your dollars? Woodcutter said operated rental I get is ran by the owner of the crane and company. He's a pretty good operator. I would stick him on anything. Okay. So you're hiring a rental company, like you're hiring a taxi crane service. Basically, you're hiring us to come take your tree down with you. That's what you meant by a rental crane. It wasn't a hey United Rentals, I'm going to come pick up a 50-ton boom truck to come take down my tree and I'm going to operate it myself. You're getting it with a butt in the seat. Okay, that makes sense. Now I'm following you. Don't apologize. Said sorry. Should have clarified. It's going to be a tough one. Are you friends with the guy that owns the crane rental company that you're renting from? That's providing that service to you with the Manitex? Okay, if you're friends with him and you trust his judgment, take him shopping with you. Put him in some different stuff and get feedback from him. If he owns a Manitex, he's probably going to be kind of partial to him just because that's what he's most familiar with. Don't let him get frustrated with different LMIs and whatnot because, National's going to be a little different from Manitex. Manitex going to be a little different from Altec. When he's trying to set the crane up, things are going to be a little difficult, more difficult for him to find or whatever. Don't let the little idiosyncrasies of setting a crane up skew his judgment on it. Physically put him in the seat of one and have him get it set up and then operate it and tell you how he feels in it. Like, how does the machine feel? Does this machine feel more stable than the other machine at a certain radius with a certain boom length out? Or does this winch feel like it's smoother or faster? I mean, what's the pros and cons? Does one boom feel tighter than another, which isn't necessarily something you can always base things off of. If it's two brand new machines, you kind of can. Machine maintenance makes a big difference on how sloppy a boom is. But if you're good friends with him, then try to get him in the seat of different things and get his feedback on it. Uh, Honestly, I don't know where you're located. It sounded like you were somewhere Tennessee or someplace. If you were in my neck of the woods, I could get you in the seat of a National, a Manitex, and an Altec all in the same day. Because I have friends that own a national or that own nationals. I've got friends that own Well, and I work for a company that owns Manitex, and I've got friends that own Altex, and I've got connections at Altec where I could probably set something up where you could go straight to the factory, jump in a brand new Altec, put your butt in the seat, play with it, and see how you felt about it that same day. But I could get you into an Altec, a National, a Manitex, all in the same day. Fish find, if you're a private owner or operator, do you require any certs for cranes besides CDL? OSHA states that if you're sitting in the seat of a crane, you better have crane certs for it. Josh Wallner makes a good point. Says if hire a retired crane operator, that will save you money if you're serious. Actually, I think I may be wrong, but Woodcutter, I think you may have sent me an email a while back, and I might have blown over it. This is starting to kind of ring a bell a little bit. If you want to, if you want to get in the seat of some manufacturers and you want to try some stuff out and you don't mind heading about, I don't know, an 8 hour, 9 hour drive, come here, hang out. We'll go have lunch. I mean, John Warren can tell you, I met up with John Warren one day when he was in the area, and we went and had lunch or dinner together and shot the breeze for a little bit. But if you feel like traveling 8 or 10 hours or whatever it is from me to you, and you want to come to the area, I'll set some stuff up where you can get in some different machines and see what you think. Woodcutter left a comment a while back, not an email, but a very similar comment. It's an 11.5 hour drive to your shop. Might end up that way if we get some free time. Well, it's 11.5 hour drive. It's probably an hour and a half flight. So, John Warren, we had a good time. We did have a good time. If you're back in the area again, holler at me. We'll do it again. If I don't know, reach out to me if it's something that you're really wanting to pursue and wanting to try to figure some stuff out. I'll help you any way I can. I'll do what I can. Fish find you can open a business credit card and get those free points really quick. But if you're an 11 and a half hour drive, you're an hour and a half flight. I can pick you up at the airport. We can go do a bunch of stupid stuff. Fish find no Southwest gives you like 60K points if you spend a few grand. Yeah. Yeah. However I can help, I'll do what I can. I've always had that mindset that, try to help people out as much as you can help them out. I wonder where we're at with Joe's towing. Let's see. Quick, fast, in a hurry. He's got 74. Newest. Let's see. Some of you guys got him pretty good. Yeah. All right. Back here. Let's see. Woodcutter, I appreciate it. Be at least a year buying a 105-foot bucket truck first and a crane in the future. I keep renting for now. The bucket will have 2,000-pound material handler. Well, that'll help. I mean, I wouldn't try to take down an entire tree with a 2,000-pound material handler, but you could make some stuff happen with that. And also, if you're going to be doing tree work in a specific area within, I don't know what kind of radius you serve as far as from your home location, but there might be something else that fits your business model a little better that you're not thinking of. I don't know. Um, boom trucks seem to be the standard that people tend to use on trees, but there's other methods as far as truck mounted cranes or rough terrain cranes, any of that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it is 7:50. We're what, 2 hours and 18 minutes deep into this. Maybe try to just knock off at 2 hours and 20. I don't know. What do you guys think? But next video will be, I think I'll do a tank video. Um, like we need more tank footage on the channel, but you know, woodcutter. I'll let you get back to the other 25 people. Didn't realize I was talking so much. Don't worry about any of that. I mean, people asking questions is what makes this engaging, and sometimes people will ask stuff that other people aren't thinking of, but they're like, "Oh, I'm kind of curious about that." So don't ever apologize for jumping in and asking questions or sending me off in on this direction when I should maybe be going this way. I mean, whatever. I've always tried to keep the live streams where they're just open and we can travel whatever path necessary to you know, I guess for lack of better words, entertain everybody. Because honestly, that's what this is entertainment. Really, I mean, I guess some of it's educational, but the long and the short of it is it's for entertainment, right? So yeah, there's that. And Josh Wellner 850 real time. Just saying. Woodcutter, ever seen crane? No, I have not seen. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Josh Wellner, 8:50 real time. So that must be 8:50 p.m. your time. It is 7:51 where I'm at in the good old central time zone back here where it's freezing cold and stuck in the middle of winter. And yeah, of course, I can't say anything. The whole country's freezing cold. About the only people right now that are happy with our weather is people that are in the southern hemisphere. Woodcutter, he's a YouTuber, hasn't uploaded in a while though, but runs a big grove during tree work. My channel has a little video from the other end of the stick also. Oh. If you talk to him, my condolences for running the grove. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. They say the busiest job in the world's a grove mechanic, but I know some people that have groves and they've had good luck with them, so I'm not going to throw any rocks at them anymore because they're really not worth throwing rocks at. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But anyway, 7:52. I think I'm gonna jump off of here. Oh, woodcutter. I beg to differ. Facebook tells me it's link built. That's the ones that break a lot. They have had some issues with booms breaking. So yeah. But I think I'm gonna bail off here. Go eat some dinner. I'll see if I can get some video edited and maybe uploaded this weekend, first part of next week, and then I might throw a curveball at everybody and break away from the realm of cranes for one video and maybe throw a car audio video or something that I was playing with, throw some of that in there and just see how that goes. I mean, that's one of my hobbies is car audio or home theater, and I can't leave anything alone. So if it's got a factory stereo in it, out that comes and aftermarket stuff goes in. So woodcutter, have a good night, guys. I gotta go watch TV with the family. Yep, go have some family time. I'm gonna go do the same. Um, thank you everybody for being engaged and sticking around and making the channel what it is. Quick recap before we all bail. Let's go talk to Joe's Quick Toe Iowa City on Google and leave our condolences for him and his family on some Google reviews. You don't have to give him any fake positive reviews. Just let him know that we're thinking of him. And yeah, I don't think he's got a YouTube channel, or I don't know if he's got any social media presence or anything. But Iowa City Tow Company got his 5-star rating wiped out by somebody that was impatient and felt like they were better or needed him more than his family did. So yeah, go go leave him a review that says, "Hey, we're thinking of you. We're on your side. Don't uh, don't sweat the petty things," kind of deal. But yeah. Anyway, try to get something out next week. Maybe do a live stream again in a couple weeks. We'll see what everybody thinks. But with that, I'm gonna go rest this. Go put some food in here. Kick back, not do much anything until tomorrow. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a safe weekend, safe next week. With that, To the Top Crane is out.